and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news of Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. So this week we get caught up on ships like the Reclaimer, Hull C and Eclipse. We see more of the new features coming to 3.0, plus we get a deep dive into how procedural moons are created. Definitely not to be missed. So before we get started, I'll just briefly cover the latest on the 3.0 front. The new production schedule is up and 3.0 has been delayed again until the 20th of July to the 8th of August for Evocati, between the 7th and 18th of August for PTU, and then the final live release is estimated to be the 25th of August. Again, these are just speculation dates. I have got a separate video up highlighting what the holdups are, and I'll link that in the description, so be sure to check that out for more details. It is a shame for the delay, of course, but it's the final bit of tech that's being pushed. The UI seems to be causing a slight bit of a holdup too. We will get it eventually, and it will be glorious. We just have to remain patient. So the Around the Verse came from the UK this time. The studio update from the UK office, they said that for 3.0 they have been closing down much of the features. They're now moving on to bug fixing, polishing and optimization. They're also helping with the cockpit experience, making it feel more dynamic, which includes redouts, blackouts, all part of the active status system. This also helps improve the G-force animations, the player hit reactions as well. Close combat is coming along nicely. They're working on knife-based and unarmed takedowns. They said it'll look and feel satisfying, and it does look pretty nice at the moment. They've nearly completed converting all the code over to the Actor 2.0 system. They now have a much cleaner interface to serialize between the server and all the clients. This makes writing new player features much more straightforward, and the code is more reliable too. They're also incorporating the new patcher system into the internal copy build tool to help speed up the internal rollout, and it helps check for any issues as well. So far so good. I hope to God we get the Delta patcher for 3.0. Anyway, in graphics, the new render to texture system has been the key focus. The hologram in particular is great for mission briefing, comm calls and the MobiGlas and many other situations, but they also are hoping to be able to use this for live comm calls between players. So this means that we can call a friend or call, an enemy and have your in-game face show up on their screen, which is really, really cool. Screens will also no longer get overly bright when looking from a dark area to a light area. They've also added a new host of features to the GPU particle system, such as lighting, turbulence, and anti-aliasing. So the concept team are focused on ship weapons. We've seen the Anon and Reese laser cannons sizes 1 to 6, plus the Claus Werner laser repeaters 1 to 6, and a new Gemini heavy machine gun, which looks very nice. I wish this was released a week ago when I was doing my weapons video. The new member of the team is looking into areas of the Stanton system, specifically Orison. For the environmental art, they're building some new and exciting prototypes for procedural cities. Now this will allow them to create vast cities and landing zones on planet surfaces for Stanton and beyond. So ArtCore is looking like it might come along pretty quickly. They're also fleshing out space textures to make space travel more interesting. A new space dust shader allows them to add large volumes of space dust for the 3.0 release, which is going to be nice. And Yellow's asteroid belt has been improved. So for outposts, all major outpost archetypes have been finished. They're now dressing for different corporate and independent companies. Outpost functions will be for mining, hydroponics, habitation and storage, but also include additional varieties like emergency shelters, abandoned outpost and gang-owned outposts as well. So the abandoned ones look very spooky. All the doors and airlocks have switched over to the Doors 2.0 system. Now they can interact with different rooms, power systems, oxygen, overrides and hazards. Outpost clusters and additional exterior elements have been finalised. Landing pads, paths, power modules, water collections, weather stations, relay stations and exterior lighting, and these look very cool. These outposts do. I can just imagine trying to go from one outpost to another in a cluster just during a storm and using these paths and lighting to guide you. It'd be such a great feeling to do that, or even at night time. Now the branding prototype is completed, so outposts are represented by several different corporations and companies, as well as some many independent ones as well. We've seen Schumann Mining Outpost, I assume, because Schumann Interstellar is a mining facility, and Rayari, which it says building tomorrow today, so that could be something like hydroponics with medicine and so forth. I don't know. We'll wait and see, but I'm guessing there will be many more that we haven't seen as well. Surface integration is going well. They've got sand, dust and frost materials finalised to help blend them into the moons. Decals have been used to add extra layers of dirt buildup and blend in exterior landing pads and props. So, for the truck stop, they say they've finished all the pre-polish and optimization for the truck stop exterior and moved to finish the interior. The main hub is being worked on now. The side shops have had the first pass. Pattern and Base, I believe, is what they called one of the shops, and I think this may be a ship dealer. That's had its first pass. Plus, an admin office has been created for players to drop off packages relating to missions. So when you pick up a package from Kovalex, for example, you'll take it there and drop it off. They've also added an observation room facing the landing pads, which has been created so players can look out and see everyone taking off or landing. Admin offices have been added to the other Stanton locations, including Port Olisar and Grim Hex. 2 new shops have been added to Grim Hex. One is an independent ship part trader, and another one is called Technotic, which is an electronics store, which they said may house a mysterious character. Anyway, for the UI, they say they're working on the MobiGlas UI plus all the other apps needed for 3.0. They've integrated the Mobi and Kiosk UI, and the visual results are looking promising. We saw the map app as well as the mission manager app. All of these are looking very cool. The map app is looking awesome. Alongside this, this is the item 2.0, which is implementing the new pilot functionality displays, which adds new information and capabilities in managing systems of ships. So, for audio, the weapon audio has completed the railgun sounds. I'll try and play that in the background.
Weapon audio completed work on weapons such as the railgun, and having made steady progress on derelict ship audio and the interior ship audio for the Javelin.
For various locations for the 3.0 release, they have revised and improved in terms of environmental and ambient sound as well. So, Animation have worked closely with gameplay programming to continue development to the takedown and kill mechanics. Weapon improvements and tweaking continues across the board for the upcoming 3.0 release. The jump mechanic is receiving some love to get a more flexible system to cope with the various environments and gravity states. It does look good, but I think at that height he needs to go into a roll for definite or break a leg. The MobiGlas has been moved into an aim pose to allow increased functionality. They've also added some extra animation to make it feel more connected to the player. The Derby studio is working on 3.0 mission givers, which they say is coming along nicely. Now, the ships teams have done work on the 3.0 derelicts, which is coming to a close. This includes the Caterpillar, the Constellation, the Freelancer, and the Starfarer, all ready to be used in space and on planets. We saw the Hull C, which has finalised the geometry on the folding section and it now avoids collisions, etc. The front of the interior has had its initial lighting pass, which has been tweaked to help all areas gel together. The rear has been blocked out as well. They're now getting a modelling pass on a room-by-room basis. So for the Eclipse, this is well underway. They've got focus on the cockpit right now, ensuring that it adheres to the new cockpit experience. They need to make sure that players can reach the buttons on the panels. The landing gear is getting fleshed out too. Work on the wings has begun, starting from the outside, working towards the centre. Now the Reclaimer. Work is almost done here. They've got 3 more rooms to go through final art. They have wrapped up final art on the cargo room and the main lift. They're maximising the space to allow for easy transportation of cargo. Lots of effort making the cockpit functional in tight areas, and it does look very, very cool. They're implemented the retractable screens which fold around the player when seated. I assume this is I think they said the pilot has these seats, so whether or not there's 2 pilots, whether the pilot doesn't have a window, I'm not too sure. They also showed another picture of the tractor beam seat, which is now transitioning from concept to final art, and they say they're really looking forward to people using these in the verse, so hopefully we'll have drones soon. But also they're busy working on the bridge area and lift with access to the lower decks. Now, for the last segment of ATV, it was a deep dive into the procedural moons and how they create these. Each planet is unique with gravity, atmosphere, ecosystems and weather. There are no cutscenes when heading down to a planet. You can land anywhere you want. Now, the terrain gets rendered as you approach from the surface, so you will be able to look into the sky and see the planet as you approach, so it all generates as you're coming closer, and from the surface you will be able to look into the sky and see planets, moons, space stations, all these things orbiting around. There is no view distance limiter or any background assets. What you see in the horizon you can travel to. They create the colour of the planet they want, and then they define the ecosystems, and you can see the scale of the 3.0 moons. This is insane. Don't forget that these are just moons we're looking at, not, they're going to be small compared to planets. But after this, we saw some work in progress ecosystems, just some clips of other places. These are not set for 3.0, but each do look incredible. We saw a lot of greenery, a lot of things like trees, grass, and one with a beautiful sunset. Very nice. Now, they're working on scattering the terrain objects to give the surface more interesting landscape. They've spent a lot of time in R&D to work out the auto method for scattering these ground assets without it looking like it's patterned. It needs to look natural. They have a very quick tool now to create these scattered objects quickly and sporadically, but they want to make sure that the materials look good on the planet at all times of day, so they can check to make sure at whatever time the shadows are working properly. We saw QA do a little playthrough with multiple cutlasses, or the new cutlasses, landing on Yella with the landing struts, or the landing feet bowing as well, so they actually react now to the surface. That is one hell of a scene. I really love that. To end with, they showed us a procedural planet with its final effect breakdown of the Reclaimer planet side, and they just showed us how it's all put together. I'll leave it on in the background so you can see it happening, but that Reclaimer is looking magnificent. Anyway, that was Around the Verse. Let's move on. So don't forget, throughout the month of July, we are giving away a Star Citizen starter package courtesy of my wonderful patrons. All you need to do is be a subscriber to me here on YouTube and comment in any video that I put out throughout July to stand a chance. So also this week, there was a This Day in History post which examines how House Cray came to rule the Xi'an Empire almost 2.5 millennia ago. Lawmaker's Guide to the Galaxy brought us the Charon system, or Charon system. And finally, this month's monthly report is available for all to read. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.